So in this today's class, we are going to talk about another topic, so which is called as functions. Okay, so functions is as same as your variables, almost the topics wise if you talk about. Sorry. And okay, so what is a variable? I have told you. If you assign a name to a set of data, that is nothing but called as a variable. And what I would like to tell as a function means, if you assign a name to a set of commands, then that is nothing but called as a function. Okay, so you are going to assign a name to a set of commands. So previously you assigned a name to a set of data. So you access the name, you got the data. So now you access the function, the commands whatever you have defined in the function will be called and those will be executed. Okay, so as those are commands actually. So previously it is only data. Now those are commands. So the purpose of commands is to execute. Now how do you define a function in bash shell? So your function name, open the brace, okay, close the brace, and in flower braces, okay, so you can write the flower brace on the same line or you can put it in the next line, so it's up to you. So I usually do it like this. Okay, so function name and your commands. Now how do you access the function? As simple as the function name. Okay, you simply give the function name and you can call the function. Okay, so let's say I'm giving test function. I'm defining a function. So I'll just write echo hi and echo bye. I'm just writing two echo commands in it and just closing it. How do I access the function? So test QNC, that's all. So those two commands are actually getting executed whenever you call the function. So previously it is not executing, it is only loading, defining a function, but those commands are not actually executing. Okay, whenever you call the function and those commands will be executed. Okay, so simple thing, but it's very simple, but you need to understand the very basic things over here. See what I told you in the very first class and after the classes also. So the first one you execute, so which is nothing but command name. So it may have options, and it may have inputs. It may have functions and it may have input. So what is the thing I'm executing here? I'm using test function. So you know that is a function, but the shell, the first one you are giving, okay, that is a command. Okay, so function is nothing but a type of command. Okay, so these are basic things actually. Okay, so what are the how many types of commands you have? You have 4 types of commands which are available in Linux operating system. So what are those is, the first one is, okay, the first one is commands. Okay, so which is nothing but /bin, you'll find /bin. Okay, so instead of saying commands, actually I can say binary files. Sorry. So binary files, okay, so which you usually find in /bin/sbin location. And thereafter, and after that, okay, so you usually have shell built-in commands. So we already seen shell built-in commands like dot command, like history command, I shown you, right? So those are shell built-in commands. And after that you have functions, and final one you have is alias. So these are the two, okay, these are the 4 types of commands. Okay, so you have binary files, you have shell built-in commands, you have functions, and you have alias. Now have you ever, we already seen, right? So LSS, command not found. So when you get a command not found error, so it will find it in alias, whether it is there in the alias. If alias is not defined, then it looks into the functions. The functions, if it is also not there, then it looks into the shell built-in commands. The command doesn't find in shell built-in commands, then it looks into the path whatever it has defined, /bin, yesbin, usrbin, usrsbin. Okay, so those paths here it is going to see. And if there also it is not found, then finally you are getting command not found error. Okay, every command you execute, it checks for alias, and then it goes and checks for function, it goes and checks whether it is shell built-in, and finally goes for look into the binary files, okay, whether it is a binary file, and finally you'll get the error command not found. So this is how actually, so okay, so usually it happens in Linux operating system. So now we are talking about function. So function is also a type of command. Function is also a type of command. Okay, so function is also a type of command, but it individually, okay, so doesn't treat, it's like a semi command. I cannot say, okay, it's a full command. Okay, so it's a semi commanding thing. Okay, so why I'm saying semi commanding thing is basically any command you execute, you get a process ID. That's fine. Any command we execute, it should get a process ID, but not for shell built-in commands, but not for functions, and but not for alias. Only for these three things you'll not get a process ID. The process ID, alias is nothing but alias, you are going to alias to a binary file or any of these things. Okay, so it's a simple. If it is a binary file, you'll get a process ID, but if you are aliasing your shell built-in command or a function, you will not get it. You will not get a process ID. Okay, I'm specifically telling that it will not get a process ID. I will prove that particular one in the coming classes, but as of now it will not create any new process ID. So function is also a type of command, but it doesn't create a process ID, but it behaves like a command. Okay, behavior is like a command, but okay, if you see into the process ID perspective of view of perspective, then it will not create any process ID. So now so you're defining a function, okay, and you're accessing the function, simple, right? So it also has a properties. It also have a properties of a file, properties of a function. So what are the properties of a variable you have? You have read write and you have local, right? So how did you made it as read only? By using as a read only command. So here also the same thing, use a read only command itself, but it is a function, so use -f option and function name. Use -f option and function name. So the same thing with the local. So what is the command? Export and -f function name. So to import, actually dot space script, and if there are any functions defined in that particular script, will get imported. Now will get imported. Okay, so that is how usually, okay, the properties for a function. If you would like to unset a function, you use unset -f and function name. Usually we don't usually unset. Why? Because whenever the script completes, the process ID closes automatically, and hence you don't require to, you don't usually require to unset that particular function separately, okay, as like your variables. If the process ID is completed, that's all, you're done. And the same concept, okay, so whatever the variables, whenever you define a variable, it goes to the local area. Okay, so if you would like to put it in the environment area, so you have to use export command. Now you are exporting a function. So the area, whatever we have talked about for variables, it is same for functions also. It is same for functions too. And yeah, so let's see. Okay, let's write a small function script and then we'll talk about. So whenever I go with the function, let me write the function. Okay, so observe the process. When I want to create a script, what I'm doing ls enter. So I'm seeing what is the last script I have written is script9.sh. So my next immediate script is script10.sh. Okay, so then I'm writing the script. So okay, so let's assume that I completed my script and I'm saving exit. Okay, so then immediately to execute the script, I have to provide chmod +x script10.sh. Okay, and then finally I'll execute script10.sh. This is the complete process I'm doing. So you are doing ls, checking the file last used file number, and then you are creating your, okay, the next file number you are deciding, okay, and you are providing executable permission, and finally you are actually executing. Okay, so after this particular script, will try to automate this particular process by using a function. Okay, so let's see. So let's try to write a small script. So the same addition subtraction script. So here, okay, I'm defining add function. So add, let's say it is a function, right? I'll put it like this: add function. So echo. Here I'm just showing only the demonstration. So that's the reason we'll be writing only one command, but usually you'll be having multiple commands in a function. Okay, so in the main program, so let's say this is main program. So here you need to understand one thing, that I am defining the functions at the starting and I'm writing the main program at the ending. Yes. Why? Because unless and until you define a variable, you cannot access the variable. Unless and until you define a function, you cannot access the function. Same concept. Okay. So if you put the functions at the down of the script, you'll get command not found errors. Okay. Why? Because the function is not defined yet. So your shell is going to tell you that command not found. So here I am putting a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 5, like, so I'm calling add function, I'm calling subtract function. Okay, so I'm simply executing script and .sh. So there is some wrong. Okay, what is the one in line number 10? Something is wrong. So how do you check? Set a new. Okay, so what is the line number 10? So here is the line number 10. So before to that the error is there. So what is the error is? So you don't use double braces. I use single brace. That's the issue. So line number 8 actually. That's not line number 10. Okay. So script 10.sh. So now perfectly fine. See, if you are aware of any operating system in its scripts, okay, so if you are from Linux administration, at least you should have aware of these particular scripts. So functions are widely used in the script. Okay, so why you use functions? Okay, so why do you use functions? Let me tell you like this. Okay, I missed this particular point at the starting. Why do you use a function? Whenever you have a requirement of accessing a set of commands repetitively, I'm not saying continuously, it's repetitively. So let's say at certain point of time I want to execute 10 set of commands, and again at a certain point of time I want to execute the same set of commands. Okay, so let's say if you would like, if your requirement is something like 10 set of commands, if you are using 10 times, set means it always starts with number 1 and it always ends with number 10. The order never changes. Okay, so in that case I'll go with a function. So in that function, if you go, okay, so without function what is happening? You have 10 lines, you are using 10 times, so how many number of lines of code you are getting? You are going to get 100 lines of code. Whereas if you go with the function, you define 10 lines of the function plus 10 times you are accessing the function name, your code is going to be a 20 line. That's all. But the process ID is always remain same. So if there are 100 commands in the previous scenario, 100 process ID. So here also functions you are accessing 10 times, so 10 commands. Here also process ID is same. There is nothing, okay, so difference. But okay, but you can save lot of code. Your code, you're not, I mean, your code will not get into complex situation. Okay, complex if you use functions. Now, okay, so as it is a function, okay, and a type of command, okay, so function is a type of command, so every command should have a exit status. Every command should have an exit status. So to function also you have an exit status. So how do you do that? Is by using a return command. By using a return command, you're not supposed to use an exit command. Exit will exit the complete script, whereas if you use a return command, it returns the status. The status always against 0s to 255. Okay, so you can use whatever the value you want. So let me show you like this.